Hello students, today we're going to talk about preconditions and postconditions. If we look back at our previous program that we wrote with our methods, you can tell that we wrote some items up here at the front, some comments before each one of those methods. We'll clean this up just a little bit here. The truth of the matter is there's actually that process of writing comments before a method has actually become standardized. There's a standard process, sort of a way of putting comments that is basically accepted in the programming world, and that is labeling like the purpose of the program, and then these two things, preconditions and postconditions. And you'll read through this, but basically it's about what you would expect. A precondition is something that's assumed to be true before the method is called. Sort of like in this case, we say something like this works properly only if the Jeroo has 4 or more flowers. So that would be sort of like an assumption. What is this method assuming is the case in order for it to work properly? And then the postcondition is what is true after this method has been executed. Once again, assuming everything in that precondition was true. So if we look down here, I can show you actually a very in-depth example where everything's nice and formatted in with little asterisks all around it. So this might say something like, this method plants 4 flowers in a row starting at the current location. The precondition, and it's going to list all these, the 3 spaces directly ahead of the Jeroo are clear, and the Jeroo has at least 4 flowers. Postconditions, the Jeroo has planted 4 flowers starting at its current location and proceeding straight ahead. The Jeroo is standing on the last flower and facing its original direction. So this is very well documented and has multiple items. And if you're going to be writing documentation that you want to understand and remember what was going on, if you look at the program, maybe sometimes just a few hours later, or a day later, or even a lot later, having good documentation can be really helpful. If you're writing it for somebody else, you absolutely need to have good documentation. So one thing we can do here is we can go here to our program, look at these methods that we've written, and go ahead and add some preconditions and postconditions. In some cases, we already have a summary statement here. It says this method turns the Jeroo around 180 degrees. So we'll say preconditions. There really aren't any. We don't need to have any flowers, or there's no real conditions as far as obstacles. So I just might put none for preconditions. Postconditions, there's really just one. After this turnaround method runs, the Jeroo is facing the opposite direction. So that's pretty straightforward, and you might say, yeah, I already knew that. It's pretty obvious from the code. You've got 3 lines of comments just to deal with essentially 2 lines of code. What in the world? This is ridiculous. And yes, this is sort of an exaggeration of the case. Eventually you'll be writing programs that have very long methods that are going to be doing quite a lot of stuff, and having these preconditions and postconditions properly formatted, written out, will help you to be able to know what's going on. In fact, in some cases, some more advanced development environments and programs, you can actually collapse the entire code here so that those braces just go all the way up, and there's just a little ellipsis, little dot 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 right there, and all you actually see are the comments, because at that point, if the method has been written properly, you don't even need to see the code, and we just can glance at the comments here. So here we have plant 4. We'll modify this a little bit. This method plants 4 flowers in a row. Okay, that looks pretty good. I might add something and say starting at its current location. And then we can write the preconditions and the postconditions. This spacing is off a little bit. Preconditions. Now, this sentence that we had earlier, it works properly only if the Jeroo has 4 or more flowers. That basically was the precondition. So we'll say the Jeroo has 4 flowers and no obstacles ahead. And would be like water or nets or other Jeroos. We'll just leave it there as is. And then post conditions, we can say the Jeroo has planted 4 flowers in a line. I could say 1 in each cell. That's kind of obvious. There's no way that that would be sort of redundant to say that. And is standing on the last flower facing the last flower, we'll say, and facing the original direction. Now I'll make this code available here at the end of the video. Okay, sometimes to clean up a little bit, you might want to add a line there or something like that. If you wanted to, you could add another line right there, something. I don't know. The formatting will leave it up to you, but you want it to be somewhat easy to read. I think I actually kind of do like that. I'll put an extra line. Java doesn't care. It's all white space as far as it's concerned. Okay. And then, the plant square. Okay. So it looks like we did have 5 by 5 all the way around. Let's see. This method creates a square of flowers with 5 flowers on each side. Okay. Looks good. The precondition might be something like the Jeroo has 16 flowers, which that's how many there are, I believe, and no obstacles in a path, I'd say, along the perimeter of a square in which the Jeroo is currently at the bottom left corner. Still can't spell corner. There we go. Post condition. Got preconditions, post conditions. So we could say something like, well, after we've done this, the Jeroo has planted a 5 by 5 square perimeter, or square of flowers along the perimeter. Square flowers along the perimeter. Its starting and ending point are the same. The ending cell are the same, which is the lower left, or we'll say bottom left corner of the square. And then we have an extra line. Yeah, like having that extra line there. Okay. Once again, that's probably a little bit too wordy for something of this nature that's only 8 lines long, but it gets the job done. The preconditions and postconditions accurately describe what's going on. And in these next set of programs, I will expect you to write some preconditions and postconditions, as well as just a little summary statement. In some cases, in fact, probably in almost every case, it's actually beneficial to write the summary and the preconditions and postconditions before you go to doing all the coding. It can save you some time. And normally, if you can't write a precondition and postcondition, or if you can't even write a summary statement about what the code is going to do, then it's very likely that you don't even know what needs to happen yourself. So putting it down in words, sort of writing it out, it's a lot easier if you just write it down in full and complete sentences than having to start code and figure out the problem. It is very possible to just start coding and go through that sort of a start coding first approach. That's not a very good design approach for lots of reasons, and one of those is just time. So anyway, happy coding. We talked about preconditions and postconditions, and I'll have this code posted there right now. Thanks for watching.